All right, let's get rolling. We're diving deep today, folks, into a machine that's got people talking. The Ducati XDiavel. We've got an article here, hot off the press, Ducati XDiavel, a perfect fusion of cruiser and power, published just a couple days ago, December 14th. And honestly, when I saw the title, I was like, wait, Ducati? Making a cruiser? They're the kings of sport bikes. What's going on here?
Yeah, that's what caught my eye too, right? Ducati's not exactly known for kicking back and taking it easy, so they're definitely trying to break into some new territory.
Totally. But are they really building a cruiser, or is this like a sport bike in disguise? The article throws out some specs that are pretty eye-popping, to say the least.
Oh yeah, the numbers on this thing.
1,262cc L-twin engine, 160 horsepower. That's more than some cars I've driven.
And the article mentions a top speed of, get this, 270 kilometers per hour. That's leaving Harleys in the dust, my friend.
No kidding. So already we've got some tension, right? We've got this cruiser image, but then these crazy performance figures.
And then there's the price tag, starting at $21,195. This is a premium machine, no doubt about it.
Yeah, not your entry-level cruiser for sure. But before we get all caught up in the numbers, I want to dig into what makes the XDiavel special. Beyond just horsepower and speed, the article dives into some pretty cool features.
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on under the hood, so to speak.
Over 60 ergonomic configurations. That's insane.
They're really trying to make this bike fit you, not the other way around.
Exactly. You can adjust the handlebars, the foot pegs, the seat height. It's like they're saying, hey, build the XDiavel that's perfect for you.
And then there's the, what was it called? Ducati Power Launch.
Oh, yeah. That sounds intimidating. What even is that?
Basically, it's like launch control for a cruiser. You hit the button, and it, well, launches you off the line.
Whoa. Okay, so they are leaning into that performance side, but then you've got all this other tech too. Cornering ABS, traction control, multiple riding modes. Does this make the XDiavel safer? Or does it take some of the fun out of riding?
It's a good question. Tech can be a double-edged sword, right? Some people want all the bells and whistles. Others prefer a more raw experience.
Yeah, right, right. So how does the XDiavel stack up against the competition? The article compares it to the Harley-Davidson Fat Bob and the Triumph Rocket 3.
Oh, yeah, those are the heavy hitters in the cruiser world.
So engine power-wise, how does it measure up?
Well, the Triumph Rocket 3 has a massive 2,500cc engine. It's a beast, no doubt about it. But the article suggests that the XDiavel's power, even though it's smaller, is more usable. Like, you can actually access that power in real-world situations.
Ah, so it's not just about brute force. What about weight?
Surprisingly, the XDiavel is actually the lightest of the three. That means it could be more agile, more fun to ride.
Interesting. Okay, but let's be honest. A lot of cruising riders are drawn to that classic stripped-down aesthetic, and this is a Ducati. They love their tech.
They're not going to make a bare-bones cruiser, that's for sure.
So does all that tech take away from the cruiser experience? Or does it actually enhance it?
It's all a matter of perspective. For some riders, all those features are a huge plus. For others, it might feel like too much.
Right, it depends on what you're looking for. Speaking of looks, though, the article uses some pretty strong words to describe the XDiavel. Muscular, aggressive dominance. This bike definitely has an attitude, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, Ducati's known for their design, and they haven't held back here. This is a bike that wants to be noticed.
Totally. And I love that they've gone all in on the customization aspect, those 60-plus ergonomic configurations. That's unheard of in the cruiser world.
It's like they're saying, hey, we know cruisers are all about personalization, so here you go, have at it.
Exactly. They're not just building a bike, they're building a platform for self-expression. But does all this focus on looks and power translate into a good riding experience? That's what we've got to figure out.
Well, that's where things get really interesting, and that's what we'll explore next. So, we were talking about looks and power and all that, but the article really digs into the riding experience too. And it sounds like Ducati's managed to pull off something pretty special here.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, they got this engine right, the 12,262cc L-twin. And it's smooth but powerful. Like, it can really move when you want it to, but it can also just cruise along, nice and relaxed.
So it's got that classic cruiser vibe, but with some extra kick when you need it.
Exactly. And the article talks about how the XDiavel handles too. It's got a low center of gravity, and remember, it's the lightest in its class. So it's surprisingly agile. You can really throw it around those corners.
Wait, hold on. Are we talking about a cruiser here? Cruisers aren't usually known for their agility.
I know, right? But that's what makes the XDiavel so interesting, is breaking the mold.
Okay, but let's be realistic. Not every ride is going to be on some twisty back road. What about everyday riding? Commuting, errands, that kind of thing?
Hmm, that's a good point. The article does mention that the XDiavel's low design and those wide handlebars can be a bit of a challenge in tight spaces, like if you're in heavy traffic or trying to squeeze through narrow city streets.
So it's more of a weekend warrior then.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. It's really at home on the open road where it can stretch its legs and, show off a little.
Makes sense. But hey, we talked about all that tech earlier. Cornering ABS, traction control. What about this Ducati power launch thing?
Oh yeah, that's a fun one.
Seriously, what is that?
Okay, so imagine launch control, but on a cruiser. You basically hit a button, and it helps you get off the line as fast as possible.
So like 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds.
Well, I don't know about 3 seconds, but it's definitely quick. The article says even experienced riders find it pretty exciting.
So maybe not a feature you'd use every day, but when you want to have some fun.
Exactly. It's there when you need it.
Speaking of which, the article straight up says the XDiavel isn't for beginners.
Yeah, this isn't a bike you learn on.
So what kind of rider is this bike for?
I think it's for someone who's comfortable with a lot of power. Someone
Yeah.
who appreciates, the finer points of handling. Someone who's looking for something different, something unique.
So not your average cruiser rider.
Definitely not. This is for someone who wants to stand out from the crowd.
Okay, that makes sense. But all this performance and tech, it's got to come at a price, right? And I'm not just talking about the sticker price.
You're thinking about maintenance.
Yeah, exactly. These Ducatis, they're not exactly known for being cheap to maintain.
That's true. But the XDiavel actually have longer service intervals than other Ducati models. Think every 15,000 kilometers.
Oh, wow. So you're not constantly taking it to the shop.
Exactly. Less frequent maintenance, which is a big plus for riders who put on a lot of miles.
Okay, that's good to know. But I'm guessing those service visits, when they do happen, are probably pretty pricey.
Well, yeah, you're not taking this thing to just any mechanic. You need specialized knowledge, specialized parts.
Yeah.
It's going to cost a bit more.
So you're paying for performance in more ways than one. That's something to keep in mind. But hey, let's step back for a second. We've talked about performance, we've talked about tech, we've talked about maintenance, but what about the overall feel of this bike? The article mentions that it's a real head turner, that it has a certain attitude.
Oh yeah, the XDiavel definitely makes a statement.
So what kind of statement do you think riders are making when they choose this bike?
I think it says, I'm not afraid to be different.
Mm-hmm.
It's for someone who appreciates both style and ND substance, someone who wants a bike that performs as well as it looks.
Yeah, it's definitely not your grandpa's cruiser. But I'm still grappling with this whole fusion idea. Is Ducati really bridging the gap between sport bikes and cruisers? Or is the XDiavel more of a hybrid? Like it takes elements from both worlds, but doesn't fully commit to either.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's something we'll definitely want to explore further as we wrap up our deep dive.
All right, so we've danced around this whole fusion concept long enough. Time to get down to brass tacks. Is Ducati really bridging the gap between sport bikes and cruisers with this XDiavel? Or are we looking at more of a Frankenstein's monster, a hybrid that's not quite one thing or the other?
It's funny you say that because I think it really adds a bit of both. Like, there's no denying that Ducati's injected some serious sport bike DNA into this thing. The performance, the tech, that aggressive styling, it screams Ducati. But at the same time, they haven't completely abandoned the cruiser ethos. There's still that emphasis on comfort, on style, on, just enjoying the ride.
Right, and speaking of style, this bike is a looker. The article makes a big deal about how unique the XDiavel's design is. It's definitely not your typical cruiser, that's for sure.
Nope, not at all. They've really pushed the boundaries here. And, that's a risky move. Some cruiser purists might be turned off by it.
Yeah, I can see that. Like if you're looking for that classic all-American cruiser aesthetic, the XDiavel might not be for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think Ducati's betting on attracting a different kind of rider. Someone who's looking for something bolder, something more modern.
Someone who wants to make a statement.
Precisely.
And let's not forget about all that customization. Over 60 ergonomic configurations. That's insane. Why do you think they went to such lengths to make this bike adjustable?
Well, for one thing, it shows that they're really thinking about the rider. Not every rider is the same, right? We all have different bodies, different preferences. So by offering so much adjustability, they're basically saying, hey, we want this bike to fit you perfectly.
It's like they're taking the whole idea of personalization to a whole new level.
Yeah, exactly.
But all this customization, doesn't it compromise the bike's performance?
That's a valid concern, but from what I've read, it doesn't seem to be an issue. Ducati's engineers have done a remarkable job of creating a bike that's both highly adjustable, AD, incredibly capable on the road.
So they've managed to have their cake and eat it too.
Pretty much.
Impressive. But with all these innovations, with this bold design, with this focus on performance, is Ducati setting a new standard for the cruiser market?
I think they're definitely shaking things up. The XDiavel is a statement. It's saying, hey, cruisers don't have to be stuck in the past. They can be powerful, they can be technologically advanced, they can be stylish, and they can still be, cruisers at heart.
So it's a new era for cruisers.
I think it has the potential to be, yeah.
That's exciting. But let's bring it back down to earth for a second. We've talked a lot about the XDiavel. We've analyzed it from every angle. But ultimately, the question is it the right bike for you?
That's the million-dollar question. And unfortunately, there's no easy answer. It depends on what you're looking for in a bike, what your riding style is, what your budget is.
Right, right. But hopefully, this deep dive has given you some food for thought. If you're intrigued by the XDiavel, if you're looking for a cruiser that's a little different, a little more edgy, then I'd say go check it out. Take a test ride, see how it feels.
Couldn't agree more. There's nothing quite like experiencing a bike firsthand.
Exactly. So get out there, folks, and see if the Ducati XDiavel calls to you. And hey, if it does, well, maybe you'll become an XDiavel person yourself. That's all the time we have for today, folks. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Ducati XDiavel. Till next time, ride safe.